Welcome to Political News and Views with Congressman Ed Towns of Brooklyn, New York, representing the 10th Congressional District, programming with your concerns in mind. And now, your host, Congressman Ed Towns.
Welcome to News and Views. I'm delighted today to have with us the person that's responsible for the Second Chance Act, my good friend and congressman from the great state of Illinois, of course, by the way of Chicago, Danny Davis. Good to have you on News and Views.
Well, thank you very much, Ed. It's a pleasure to be here, and I just want to thank you right off the bat for the tremendous support that you and the New York delegation, especially Charlie Rangel, Greg Meeks, and Yvette Clark, gave to this legislation from the time that we introduced it. We really appreciate that, and it was that kind of support that really helped us get it passed.
Thank you very much. We also have with us Martin F. Horn, who is the New York Commissioner for the Department of Correction and Probation. Welcome. Delighted to have you on News and Views.
I'm delighted that you invited me, and it's an honor to be here with you, and especially, of course, with Congressman Davis. And we who work in this field are so grateful for the leadership and the support that you've given to Second Chance. It really is something that is very important to us.
Thank you. Also, we have with us Joyce Burrell, Deputy Commissioner for the Division of Juvenile Justice and Opportunities for Youth. We are delighted to have all of you on News and Views.
Well, I certainly am delighted to be here as well, and on behalf of the children who are in the juvenile justice system, thank you for the Second Chance Act.
Right.
Thank you.
Let me start out by asking you, what led to your really getting involved and pushing this? And I know it took you a long time to get it through. I mean,
well, I had not really been involved as much in criminal justice issues. You know, education was more in health care, since I've got all these hospitals in my district and some other things. But every year we have one great big meeting. We call it a State of the District, where we bring in about 3,000 people, and we discuss issues for a day and a half. At the end of the discussion that particular year, about 5 years ago, they concluded that we had a big problem with reentry, that our community was being what you call overrun by people who were coming home from prison, didn't have any place to go, didn't have much help, were going back to prison, coming back home again, going back to prison, that the recidivism rate was just atrocious. And so we decided to focus in on reentry. I mean, there are lots of parts of the criminal justice system that needs reform. We decided to just take reentry and try to look at that part, and we ended up, of course, with a big task force and ultimately producing legislation, and fortunately lots of people all over the country got involved in it, and we were able to get it passed.
You know, in many of the urban areas in particular, the faith-based community is truly involved in any kind of rehabilitation. They're there. Does this legislation invite them in any way?
Well, it does indeed. And you know, there's some people who argue about some technical aspects of things. You know, I guess I'm a professional in a sense, too. As a matter of fact, I'm a trained psychologist. And so obviously I have a great deal of feeling about people who get people on the couch and do other kind of things and all of that. But there are some people that no matter what else is going on, if you can get them turned on from a faith perspective, that helps them a great deal. I mean, that's why I guess the songwriter said, there is something within that holdeth the rain. There is something within that I can't explain. And so you can't always explain it, but you know, they get to singing Amazing Grace and doing some other things, and it has helped and continues to help. So yes, the faith component of this is a very integral part.
Right. Mr. Horn, from an agency perspective, how does this affect your agency? I mean,
well, hopefully we're going to succeed in getting full appropriation for the bill. And if we do, and we were down here today meeting with the New York delegation and others trying to get support for a full appropriation for the bill, it will enable us to build on some of the work we've already done to help people when they get out of jail and out of prison to stay sober, which is critical, to find a job, which is critical. A man gets out of jail and he can't find a job and he can't stay sober, he's probably not going to succeed, and we want to help people succeed. And I think Congressman Davis is absolutely right. Most people who go to prison and jail come back. They are our neighbors. They are our neighbors' children. They are our children, and we have to take responsibility for them. And the other thing we can do is we can help with housing. In New York City, men and women coming out of prison and jail face the crisis of affordable housing that New York City is experiencing. And we've been doing a lot in New York City already and in New York State to break through some of these barriers. And this is going to help us to build on that, to expand it, and to prove that it works.
Let me ask you the same question, Ms. Burrell. In terms of your agency, how does this affect your agency? Because you work with a lot of young people,
yes,
youth.
I think this creates an opportunity for us to work with families as well as children. The youth who come into the systems, 68% of them present with a mental health disorder, but 70% of them have a co-occurring mental health and substance abuse treatment issue. So coming back to the community, their success is hinged on having the appropriate services and the treatment available in their community. And that also builds on the investment that we make in institutional placements. We want to reduce their coming back. We want to build on what we give them there, but we want them to be able to go to school, to go to work, to live at home with their families, not to be rearrested and not to be reincarcerated. This act is a real opportunity to look at the education of these children, to look at how their families are engaged and supported, to provide for treatment, and to engage the communities they live in that treatment and in that caring for those young people.
Right. Now, jobs are very, very important, because if a person returns to the community, and if he or she cannot find a job, and I consider myself a very fine, upright, person, but without a job, I'd hate to face that. You know what I mean? So, what is this legislation? Does it do anything to help in terms of finding employment?
Well, what it does, Ed, it brings together and hopes to create a comprehensive look. For example, it will bring all of the federal agencies together that impact the problem. And so if you've got Health and Human Services providing some resources, say, to help a person with substance abuse, but if they need education and you're not doing anything about their education, or they need some job training so that they can develop a skill, or if they need some interaction, many companies, for example, and units of government have straight-up policies that essentially say we do not hire individuals with felony convictions. And then there are many companies that will hire people, but they are hiring them through agencies that are working with them. They're not going to put a sign up saying ex-offenders welcome. I mean, or we hire ex-offenders. I mean, if they did that, they'd be overrun and swamped, because there are so many people looking for work. And so the program money that will help establish programs and coordinate activities is going to be very instrumental in helping people to receive employment opportunities.
Yeah, I think the other thing you do here, when you bring everybody together, I think you have them to focus on there's a problem. And I think that that's the first step, recognizing that there is a problem and then bringing about, a solution to the problem.